As a nomad, you have all kinds of camping options, and so today I'm going to tell you how you can find 5 different camping options in 5 square miles. Hey everybody, it's Robin with Creativity RV, and welcome to episode 17 of Be a Nomad, Change Your Life. This is my Sunday series where I try and give you every tip and trick that you need to hit the road full time. And today I want to talk to you guys about all the options that you have for camping when you hit the road. When I first started preparing to be a nomad and I was watching YouTube videos, I was watching a lot of nomads that only boondocked. And so I wasn't exposed to a whole lot of camping options. Of course, I knew that there were those big RV resorts, but I knew that wasn't my style. I didn't want to park, in a parking lot next to a bunch of other people just so I could have a hookup. But I didn't know all the variety that there was out there until I actually hit the road. So today, I'm going to show you how I found 5 different camping options in 5 square miles in a place that I recently visited. So for today's example, I'm going to use Leadville, Colorado, which, you guys, I have just fallen totally in love with this place. I normally stay someplace about 5 or 6 days and then I move on. And total in the last 2 months, I've spent over 30 days in and around Leadville in these different camping areas. I left, I came back, I just couldn't get over it. I just loved it that much. So this was a good place for me to use as an example so I can show you all of the options. Now, you can use these tips and tricks in all kinds of different places. If you're going to go to Arizona or you're going to go to New Mexico or Utah or Wyoming, whatever, this will work in a lot of those places. So, of course, when you get closer to a city, probably your options are going to be a little bit less. Leadville is a mountain town, so there are a lot of camping options here. Just keep that in mind. But I'm going to go ahead and run down what the 5 things are and how I found them so you can do the same thing. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the 5 things. Friendly retailers, stealth camping, hold on, U.S. National Forest campgrounds, RV parks, and dispersed camping. Okay, I did 4 out of these 5 things when I was in Leadville, so let me start at the top and I'm going to run through them and tell you how I found each one. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is a friendly retailer. Now in Leadville, there aren't any Walmarts or Cabela's or REI's. There was a Safeway, and I went into freecampsites.net and saw somebody had left a review saying that they stayed overnight in the Safeway. Well, of course, I went in and asked the manager if they allowed people to stay overnight. And she paused and she said, well, we don't encourage it because our parking lot is small. And I'll tell you, the parking lot is small because this is where I got into a fender bender, if you guys saw that video. So because I was a little bit frazzled about Safeway, I didn't actually stay there. But you can see from the signs that they say parking for valued customers only. I did see many RVs that were clearly there overnight, RVs and vans, and they have 4 porta potties outside, which is a sure sign that they are camper friendly. So like other friendly retailers, especially if they're not explicitly inviting you, come in late at night, go inside and buy something, keep your receipt in case there's a problem, don't put out your slides, don't run your generator, just be quiet as a mouse, get your night's sleep, and get up early in the morning and leave. Friendly retailers are great to stay at if there's no other options and they're okay with it. The second option is stealth camping. Now earlier I said hold on a minute because I know that there's a lot of passionate feelings about stealth camping all over the board. Now, some people say there's no such thing as stealth camping, that you're just obvious and you're just breaking the law. Let me say a couple of things. First of all, you're only breaking the law if there's a local ordinance that says you can't sleep overnight in your RV. And it's okay for RVs and vans to park alongside the road just like everybody else unless there's a sign against it. Now, what I do when I stealth camp, and I have a 25-foot B+ van, so it's not inconspicuous, is I do check the local ordinances. So what I do is I Google parking ordinances Leadville, for example. I did look up Leadville. I did not find any rules that say you can't stay overnight in your RV or van. There were some rules that said if cars are abandoned, they have to put a sticker on them, and after so many days, the car will be towed. But I didn't find anything that explicitly said you couldn't stay overnight in your RV or your car. With that being said, I don't park in front of somebody's house. I usually try and park in front of a business, and I do check the signage carefully. And again, I am super quiet. I don't run the water. I don't flush the toilet. I don't play my music. I usually scope out my spot in advance, like you may have seen in the stealth camping video that I did. And then later at night, I roll into that spot, super quiet, set up for bed. I get a good night's sleep and I leave. So in Leadville, there was an RV parking lot, but they had signs that said no overnight parking there, and there were signs that said no overnight parking or camping on the main historic strip. But just off of that strip, I actually stayed because we were headed down to Leadville and we planned to watch a Bronco game and have a couple of drinks, and I didn't want to drive. So I scoped out a spot, went back to that spot, snuck in, got a good night's sleep, and left, and nobody had a problem. And I'll tell you, I got some other shots like this of other RVs and campers doing the same thing just off of the strip in Leadville. And you know, they want the tourist business and they want people to come to the bars and restaurants. So I don't think that people here really have that much of a problem with it. I could be wrong, but you know, don't exacerbate the situation. Don't be noisy. Don't be an eyesore, just come and go. Now, let's get to the good stuff, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't come to these beautiful areas to stay at a retailer or to stealth camp. What I like to do is see the beautiful areas that this country has to offer. So let's go through those. The next place I stayed was an RV campground park with a hookup. I found this one by searching RV Parky or Park Advisor. The place that I stayed was called the Sugar Loafin' Campground. I had to stay there for a couple of days because it was going to be really cloudy and my solar wasn't going to give me enough power. I needed an internet signal, I needed to do laundry, and I needed to get water. So I stayed there for a couple of days. It was a lovely spot. And here's another tip for you guys. If you're going to go out boondocking or go dry camping, do check out the RV campgrounds or parks near you, because a lot of times they offer services for you while you're on the road. So for example, the Sugar Loafin' Campground that I stayed at sold water for $7. I think you could dump your tanks for $10 and get the water for free. I'm not sure because I have a composting toilet, so I didn't need to dump my tanks. And they sell propane fill there. So that was a great spot that I stopped at, I think 3 or 4 times when I was in and out of these other places, just getting those items. Okay, the next thing on my list is boondocking or dispersed camping. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures here of all the different places that I saw and the different places that I stayed. And I have to say, the roads were well kept. There was even signage saying it was free for 14 days. And one place said there was video surveillance, even though I didn't see any cameras. But this is National Forest land. You guys may have seen the video I did on how to find free dispersed camping in national forests. And in that video, I mentioned that dispersed camping is usually allowed if you're a mile away from another campground. And that was the case here. So in Leadville, you literally go up one road to the sanctioned campgrounds and you go up another road, and it's just nothing but dispersed camping and boondocking everywhere. It was a great place to stay. I had an internet signal. It was free, and I could stay for 14 days. So I was in and out of a few of those spots. And here's how I found them. I went to, first of all, freecampsites.net. And the reason that I do this is I want to see other reviews of a certain area, because that gets me towards an area that free camping is allowed. But then I don't normally go to the same spots that other people do on freecampsites.net, because everybody uses that app, and then those particular spots end up being kind of crowded. So what I do is I get the U.S. Public Lands app, and I look at the boundaries of that national forest or that BLM area, and I look and see how far I can go, what's near where I want to be, and then I'll look at the satellite view on the map, or I'll go to Google Earth and look at the dirt roads and try and find some little veins I can go down where I can camp. And number 5 is a U.S. National Forest campground. Now I'll tell you guys, I have really fallen in love with National Forest campgrounds. You do have to pay a little bit, but I didn't even know when I started camping that these things were out there. Like I said, I didn't start out as a camper, so I thought it was either boondocking or RV park. So these, for me, are like the Goldilocks of camping, because they're somewhere in the middle. They are usually in a coveted, beautiful area, and They have trash cans and camp house. And so when you get there, you pay. It's usually 10 bucks, 12 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. And I'll tell you that I stayed in 2 places here in Leadville. One was up in the hills that it was just literally magical. It was like a unicorn was going to come right out of the woods, and it was really beautiful. I was far away from other campers, but I had like trash service and a flat area to go in and camp. But then I discovered the Overflow Campground near Turquoise Lake. Now, I'm going to show you guys some pictures of this place while I'm talking about it. I think I'm going to do an entire video on Turquoise Lake because I just completely fell in love with it. Now, there's a campground on the lake. There's actually a couple of campgrounds on the lake, but I stayed in the Overflow Campground, which is another tip. I have found that overflow campgrounds are less expensive. People don't go there first, so they're more empty, and they have just as good of a view normally as other campgrounds do. So the regular campground here was $24, but the overflow campground was only $20. And you'll see here that I go down some little steps right out my door, right to the beach, and I just never want to leave this place. In my personal budget, I have $200 a month to pay for what I call parking, which is National Forest campgrounds or RV parks, something like that. And so it's in my budget to stay a few days at places like this, and I'm telling you, I really love it. So here's another tip when you roll into a town. You can use freecampsites.net, and you can use RV Parky, Park Advisor, All Stays, any of those apps. But what I like to do also is I Google camping near me, or I'll Google, I can't say Google today, say Google 5 times fast, it's not easy. I will Google camping near me, campsites near me, campgrounds near me, and I come up with stuff that I never find on any of the other apps. So then I just pull all the information together. It really depends on if I need a signal, if I need propane, do I need water, do I want to be alone for a few days, what kind of an area do I want to see? And then I take all of that into consideration and look at friendly retailers, stealth camping, campgrounds, RV parks, and dispersed camping, and I find the option that works for me at that time. And you guys, that's not all the options that are out there. There are tons of other options. Truck stops, rest areas, city parks will invite RVs in. There are a lot of options. I just wanted to give you 5 options in 5 miles to show you as an example. You don't have to be stuck in a camping box. You don't have to stay at Walmart. You don't have to just go for a hookup at an RV park. There are lots of options. And here's what I want you guys to know. Where you go and how you camp is totally up to you. It just depends on what kind of a rig you have, what need you have, and what your budget is, and what you want to see out there. So if a campground is your style, do it. If you're a boondocker, do it. If you want to go to an RV park, do it. And there's tons of options out there, and you can camp all over the United States using these tips. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, please do stop and give it a thumbs up on the way out. Please put in the comments below what you like is your style of camping, and if you have any tips that you want to give everybody else. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and share this with anybody that can use the information. I appreciate you all watching out there. Have happy travels and be free.